there is a gravitational pull toward Bitcoin. And so that means all of the great engineers are porting whatever they invented on some other platform to Bitcoin. I think it does become at least one of the major currency of the world. And that amazing. And the world will be wealthier for it. It moves faster. It's much more flexible. It keeps perfect records. We don't need 80,000 tax people being hired because the taxes would be paid automatically. I'm hoping for a day where I can raise a fund all in Bitcoin, invest it all in Bitcoin, have my entrepreneurs pay their employees and suppliers all in Bitcoin and their taxes, and the whole thing being on a big smart contract.
The future of global money is Bitcoin. It's now on track to become the leading currency of the world. That's the fastest message from Tim Draper, founding partner of Draper Associates and renowned venture capitalist behind Hotmail, Tesla, SpaceX, and other major successes. Back in 2014, Draper predicted Bitcoin would rise from $180 to $10,000 within 3 years. And he was right. Now, he's targeting $250,000 by the end of 2025. But that's only part of his bullish prediction. Draper's also expecting something much bigger for Bitcoin on the horizon. He believes that in the future, Bitcoin could eventually be used for everyday essentials covering groceries, rent, and taxes, with no need to convert back to fiat. With Bitcoin's recent successes, Draper sees it scaling so fast that it overtakes legacy systems and becomes the primary mechanism for global commerce and settlement. In this future, entire financial workflows will run natively on-chain, powered by Bitcoin and secured through smart contracts. Everything moves faster, with greater transparency and far fewer points of failure. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video as Tim Draper breaks down why Bitcoin is scaling faster than ever and why its rise is only just beginning.
Over the last 7 years, a dollar has bought, I guess 7 years ago, it bought about 14,000 Satoshis. And today it buys about 800 Satoshis. Each year, the dollar, sure, it loses 5 or 10% to inflation, but against Bitcoin, it's losing about 50%. People are going to start recognizing that. They're going to say, well, wait a second. Why am I holding this currency that drops 50% a year against Bitcoin when I could be holding Bitcoin? And so retailers are going to start seeing that, and they're going to say, I accept Bitcoin. You know, after the retailers start getting more and more people paying Bitcoin, they're going to say, we only take Bitcoin. At that point, if retailers only take Bitcoin, then people are going to run to the banks and say, I need my dollars out because I need to buy my food, clothing, and shelter, and all my retailers only are taking Bitcoin. So I think that's a process that could happen. I mean, we're definitely moving in that direction. And right now, people aren't really spending their Bitcoin because they know it's just going up against the dollar. But I think retailers should accept it because they're going to want it too. And they're not going to want to spend it either. So I think it's all great technologies take a long time to penetrate society. It seems very fast, but Facebook is now 20 years old or something. Google is maybe 25, 27 years old, something like that. So it takes a long time for something to permeate society. And the more resistant and discussive, I guess, a topic is, the bigger it gets. I notice in a lot of social environments where I am, they're all talking about Bitcoin because it's me. But even if I just drop in on conversations, Bitcoin is like one of the top 3 conversations going on. I'd say it's like Trump, and then maybe what's happening in the world, and then Bitcoin. And so what that means is they're all still like, it's still somewhat controversial, which means that there's still a lot of room to run here. The day where everybody says, yeah, I've got Bitcoin and I don't really want dollars anymore, that will be the day Bitcoin sort of comes to an equilibrium. I think the dollar is going extinct. And just the way the Sony Betamax went extinct, and the buggy whip manufacturer went extinct, and they all got replaced by better technology. The bow and arrow, they don't use that anymore. So I think you are just going through another anthropological leap forward. And so Bitcoin's going to be a major force there, and people say, what about all the other altcoins? And I think, they're great. They've got a lot of innovation, but Bitcoin 8 years ago was a 40% market share, and 4 years ago was a 50% market share. And today it's a 63% market share. There is a gravitational pull toward Bitcoin. And so that means all of the great engineers are porting whatever they invented on some other platform to Bitcoin. I think it does become at least one of the major currency of the world. And that amazing. And the world will be wealthier for it. It moves faster. It's much more flexible. It keeps perfect records. We don't need 80,000 tax people being hired because the taxes would be paid automatically. I'm hoping for a day where I can raise a fund all in Bitcoin, invest it all in Bitcoin, have my entrepreneurs pay their employees and suppliers all in Bitcoin and their taxes, and the whole thing being on a big smart contract. And if that happens, I will save a lot in friction. I won't need as much in the way of accounting, bookkeeping, auditing, legal, transfer agents. I mean, the fiat money is becoming less and less relevant. Bitcoin and maybe some other cryptocurrencies are going to be the relevant ones in the future. So, very exciting that it's being recognized. Larger institutions now are not only signing off, but making it a part of their strategy. I know banks are scrambling now to take custody of Bitcoin. I know many companies are trying what Michael Saylor did. That was brilliant, and it was a way people could invest in Bitcoin but feel like they were still buying into a public stock. And now there are many, many of those that are going public doing the same kind of thing. And a lot of public companies are saying, hey, at least we need some Bitcoin in our treasury because the banks aren't a certainty anymore. And at most, we'll make Bitcoin our strategy. And we'll make Bitcoin our entire treasury, or a huge part of it. So many really interesting things are happening now. I kind of predicted optimistically that Bitcoin would hit 250,000 by 2022. But that was under an administration that was really blind to this new technology. And now we have an administration that is not just accepting, but encouraging Americans to innovate and to try this new technology. And that has really woken the place up. And so all these things that I thought were going to happen back in 2022 are happening now. So I think we'll eventually hit my number. I think the only reason anybody wants to hear my number is that I hit it right the first time in 2014 on a Fox Business, and Bitcoin was at $180. And I said that Bitcoin would hit 10,000 within 3 years. And the woman just rolled her eyes, thought, God, what is wrong? And in 2017, sure enough, it hit 10,000, right on the number. Then it dropped down to 4,000. They all asked me what my prediction was. And I guess I had hubris, or maybe I just didn't know what the previous administration was going to do. But now I think we've got a really proactive administration, and I think they are understanding that, going into the next century without Bitcoin is like maybe the French going to war with the British without gunpowder. Now we are in it's like the unveiling, and people are going, oh my God. how have I been so blind for so long? Now I need to I really need to bear down and get involved. So that's very exciting. What are there? About 100 million Bitcoin holders. My guess is by the end of this year, there'll be 200 million.
Draper's point is simple. Innovation moves at the speed of code, not committees, not organizations. That belief has shaped his outlook for more than a decade. In his view, Bitcoin is the foundation for a freer, more efficient economy. Through it, taxes can be paid automatically, payroll becomes seamless, and global commerce moves through smart contracts without the bottlenecks of banks, agents, or custodians. Beyond its rising price, Draper sees Bitcoin as the infrastructure powering the next wave of global innovation.
What do you think represents the biggest threat for Bitcoin right now?
Well, there are always threats to everything. I'll tell you what I don't think are major threats. One is the energy use. I think, first of all, you'll be using less energy over time as you move toward smaller and smaller devices and lower voltages. And the energy that has been built for Bitcoin has been new energy generally, and that new energy has just brought more energy to our planet. And I think if people have a use for energy, if they feel there is value, they will use the energy. So they feel there's value in Bitcoin, so they're using the energy for Bitcoin. Those miners who, struggled through all the bear markets now are starting to feel pretty good about themselves, I think. The other thing that people talk about that they think is a threat is quantum computing. And it turns out that Antminer creates new computers all the time. And so do the hackers. They use new computers all the time. But the first uses are always for mining. And if the first uses of a new computer are for mining, then the Bitcoin blockchain is going to be more secure. And so you don't see, and a giant hack of Bitcoin is in no one's interest, because if you could take all the Bitcoin is suddenly worth nothing because nobody wants it. The beauty of Bitcoin is the network. As more people accept it, there is more value to it. And it goes up exponentially, which, it's that n squared thing. If there's just one of me, Bitcoin's worth 0. If there are 2 of us, it's worth 1. If there are 3 of us, it's worth 3. If there are 4 of us, it's worth 6. If it's 5, it's worth 10. And it goes up exponentially. So there is a major effect. When there was a threat that China, but it was a bunch of different people in China, but that China had more than 40% of the Bitcoin mining at one point. People said, oh, what if it's over 50%? Well, they don't have an incentive to do anything if they're over 50%, because the beauty of being a miner is that you're incentivized to keep the blockchain secure. So I think that is no longer an issue. The other issue that people talk about is regulatory. And yeah, that can swing back and forth. But now politicians do it at their own peril. About 30% of the money going into politics now is coming from crypto. And that's pretty much the difference between winning and losing as a politician. And so I'm pretty sure there's a scramble now for both parties to realize, to say, it's been, the Republicans won pretty big because they accepted Bitcoin and the Democrats did not. And they were the counterpoint, I think. So I think in the U.S., the regulatory issue will probably be in the favor of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And outside the U.S., it's always been more lenient. People have all been able to do all these things that we haven't been able to do in the U.S. So unless they have a major reversal outside the U.S., I don't think we have too big an issue there. When a country goes against and tries to overregulate something like a Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, they do it at their own peril. They lose all their innovation. They lose all a bunch of their wealthiest people who bring a bunch of jobs with them. So I don't see that as a possibility a near-term problem because I think countries are smarter than that. And so I think that the major threats are probably innovators who come with something new. And normally technologies, businesses, whatever, have kind of a 20 to 40 year run before the new technology comes up because they're still innovating early on. And they're still providing good service to their customers. And then longer term, they're not. You could argue that there hasn't been much innovation happening in Apple Computer for a while, maybe since the EarPods. And in the phone, there really hasn't been anything since, there's not much difference between an iPhone 4 and an iPhone 15. So they're at the point where a new innovator might be able to challenge them because then, and when a company becomes a monopoly or part of an oligopoly, they stop loving their customer and they start providing worse service at a high cost. And so who are those now? It's like big pharma provides bad service at a high cost. Big government, bad service at a high cost. Big insurance, low service, high cost. All the accounting, that's a nightmare with FASB and all that stuff. And I think the blockchain is going to completely change that industry. What are the other ones? Banking, Bitcoin's challenging the banking system too. Anyway, all these things that advertise on TV are usually, monopolies or oligopolies, and they're starting to provide bad service at a high cost. And they're good places for me to be investing in challengers who are taking new technologies like AI and Bitcoin and moving them into other industries. So, long answer to a short question.
For Draper, the only real threat to Bitcoin is innovation itself. Most dominant technologies last 20 to 40 years before something better replaces them. That's where his attention is now, on the next wave of challengers. As legacy industries like banking, insurance, and accounting continue to deliver poor service at high cost, Draper sees Bitcoin and AI as the new foundation for building faster, leaner, and more decentralized alternatives. Other investors share the same outlook, including Samson Mow, Cathie Wood, Raul Pal, and Michael Saylor. What do you think? Are they right about where this is going? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, guys, before we go, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto and Bitcoin world, subscribe to my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a concise resource for the latest expert predictions, breaking news, and top on-chain analysis. Trusted by over 90,000 subscribers for insightful crypto investment information. Don't miss out on the opportunity to stay informed in the crypto market. The link is in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video and that it gave you some value. I'll see you all at the next one, and as always, all the best.